Hey everyone, welcome back to Ganai's F1 News. What an absolutely mental race we just witnessed at the Red Bull Ring. According to motorsport.com, George Russell absolutely controlled the Austrian Grand Prix from start to finish, taking the checkered flag with a commanding performance from pole position. The Mercedes driver crossed the line nearly 2 seconds ahead of Max Verstappen, who put on an impressive charge in that heavily upgraded Red Bull. Russell's teammate and championship leader Kimi Antonelli completed the podium in third. This is Russell's second victory of the season after his early wins in Australia, and it's a huge moment for the British driver after a rough stretch of races. He really needed this one, and boy did he deliver when it counted. But here's where things get really interesting. According to Sky Sports analyst Jamie Chadwick, as reported by motorsport.com, Ferrari's performance collapse at Austria came down to two critical factors: severe rear tire overheating issues and compromised straight-line speed. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc both started the race full of confidence after winning in Barcelona just the week before, but something went horribly wrong out on track. Hamilton himself said he was genuinely confused by how badly the tire degradation was affecting the car. The Reds were completely unable to defend their position and dropped like rocks down the order. It was supposed to be Ferrari's moment to strike while the iron was hot, but instead they're leaving Austria with serious questions about what's causing these overheating problems that weren't there a week ago. And speaking of Ferrari, this is getting juicy. According to motorsport.com, Mercedes boss Toto Wolff is now publicly questioning just how Ferrari can afford what he's calling limitless upgrades under Formula One's strict budget cap regulations. You've got to remember, the budget cap was designed to level the playing field. Development spending is tightly controlled across all teams. But ever since F1's April break, barely a race weekend goes by without Ferrari rolling out new aerodynamic packages and improvements to their SF26. Wolff is essentially asking, how are they managing this when every other team has to be so careful with their development spend? It's a fair question that's echoing through the paddock. Ferrari's aggressive upgrade philosophy is impressive, but if they're finding loopholes in the budget cap, that could become a real problem for their rivals. Now, Max Verstappen was genuinely competitive in Austria for the first time in ages, and according to motorsport.com, he's been pretty candid about what prevented him from closing down Russell at the end. Verstappen finished just 1.6 seconds behind in that upgraded RB22, which showed real progress from the Red Bull team. But the four-time champion revealed that mid-race car issues hampered his ability to mount a proper assault on the leader. For a guy who's been frustrated all season with Red Bull's performance, there was genuine satisfaction in being back in the hunt. Toto Wolff also pointed to the Verstappen factor as key to Red Bull's competitiveness, basically acknowledging that when Max is driving well, even a car that's not at the very front can threaten race wins. Red Bull brought major upgrades to Austria, and while they haven't completely closed the gap to Mercedes and Ferrari, they're definitely heading in the right direction. Let's talk championship implications. Motorsport.com reports that Russell's dominant victory chips away at championship leader Kimi Antonelli's advantage. The Mercedes teammate maintained third place at Austria, which was a smart, defensive drive given how strong Russell and the rest of the field were. Antonelli still leads the championship, but his margin over Russell has been cut significantly. He's now got a 40-point buffer where it used to be larger. What's more, Hamilton's struggles at Ferrari saw him lose his second-place championship position to Russell, which is a massive statement about just how badly Ferrari's tire situation hurt their drivers. Hamilton finished outside the points entirely, while Leclerc also faded. This was supposed to be Ferrari consolidating after Barcelona, but instead they've handed the initiative right back to Mercedes and shown that consistency is still the name of the game in this championship. While we're discussing the title fight, let's look at a team that's quietly getting left behind. According to motorsport.com, McLaren boss Andrea Stella is calling on his team to step up its development intensity if they want to keep pace with Mercedes and the other frontrunners. Here's the thing: Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull have all brought significant aerodynamic upgrades in recent races. McLaren hasn't. They didn't bring substantial updates to Austria, and it's starting to show in their performance. They're consistently behind the leading Mercedes cars, and in a championship where upgrades seem to be coming every other weekend. That puts them in a tough spot. Oscar Piastri finished fourth at Austria, which isn't terrible, but for a team that was genuinely competing for a title not that long ago, the gap is becoming a real concern. Stella knows his team needs to match the upgrade intensity of the big three teams, or they risk being left in the dust. One last thing that caught everyone's attention at Austria: the on-track battle between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. According to motorsport.com, former F1 driver Juan Pablo Montoya weighed in on the encounter, arguing that Hamilton's aggressive defense proved he absolutely doesn't forget their contentious history together. Even though this was a relatively short mid-race battle in the grand scheme of things, Montoya saw it as Hamilton making a point to Verstappen, showing that despite all the previous incidents and rivalry, there's still fire between them. Hamilton was clearly keen to pressure Russell early in the race and had to fight through Leclerc first, then dealt with Verstappen in an exciting bit of on-track action. These are two drivers who've had plenty of history, and while the 2026 title fight doesn't currently revolve around both of them, moments like Austria remind us that when they do get close on track, sparks fly. And finally, let's address the elephant in the paddock. According to motorsport.com, Max Verstappen's Formula One future has once again become a hot topic of conversation. Even though he's got a contract running through 2028, his long-term commitment to Red Bull is being questioned in light of the team's recent performance struggles. Verstappen dropped a subtle hint that Red Bull knows exactly what needs to happen to keep him loyal for 2027 and beyond. With new regulations coming in 2027 and 2028 that have already been approved, there's a crucial window for Red Bull to prove they can be competitive again. The Austrian upgrade was a step in the right direction, and Austria showed Verstappen that the team is capable of fighting up front. But if the gap widens again, don't be surprised to see Verstappen exploring his options. Red Bull's got the blueprint for what they need to do. Now it's execution time.